Tonight, I want you to stop asking for permission from the world. Stop waiting for signs. Stop checking for evidence. Stop measuring your power by what you currently see. Because everything you desire is not waiting somewhere outside of you. It is waiting for one thing, your assumption. There is a law operating in your life at this very moment. It does not judge you. It does not favor others over you. It simply responds. Whatever you accept as true within yourself, it faithfully reflects in your world. If you assume delay, you will experience delay. If you assume difficulty, you will meet resistance. But if you dare, truly dare, to assume it is already done, reality itself must conform. Not because you forced it, not because you begged for it, but because you became it. This is not positive thinking. This is not wishful imagination. This is the deliberate acceptance of the end as already fulfilled. When you move from wanting to knowing, from hoping to being, you shift the very foundation of your world. Tonight, you are not here to chase your dream. You are here to claim it internally and watch the external rearrange in quiet obedience. Assume it's done and watch reality obey. To live from the end is to think, feel, and act from the position of your wish already fulfilled. It is not about hoping something will happen. It is not about waiting for confirmation. It is about occupying the state of the person who already has what they once desired. This is the difference between chasing a dream and embodying it. And embodiment is power. Most people live from the middle. They live in the process. They live in the struggle. They say, I'm working on it. It's coming, or maybe one day. But in doing so, they remain in the state of not having. They rehearse the identity of someone who is still trying, and the world faithfully mirrors that identity back to them. The outer world does not respond to your words. It responds to your state of being. Living from the end means you mentally skip the process. You go straight to the result. If you desire financial freedom, you do not focus on paying off debt. You focus on the feeling of security, relief, and abundance that would be yours if you were already free. If you desire a loving relationship, you do not focus on finding someone. You dwell in the feeling of being loved, chosen, and valued right now. You bypass the how and settle into the already. This is not denial of reality. It is redefining it. The world you see is only a reflection of previous assumptions. If you want a different reflection, you must assume differently now. Living from the end is choosing a new assumption and inhabiting it fully. Imagine receiving the news you have been waiting for. Hear the congratulations. Feel the handshake. Sense the quiet satisfaction in your chest. That feeling, that inner shift, is the creative act. When you persist in that feeling, it impresses itself upon the deeper mind. And what is impressed within must express without. The mistake many make is visiting the end, but living in the middle. They imagine their desire fulfilled for a moment, feel inspired, and then return to worrying about how it will happen. But you cannot serve two states. You cannot claim fulfillment internally and rehearse doubt externally. To live from the end means consistency. It means when doubt appears, you gently return to the feeling of completion. Again and again, until it feels natural. Naturalness is the key. When the fulfilled state feels normal, not exciting, not unbelievable, just normal, you have successfully moved into it. At that point, you are no longer trying to manifest. You are simply expressing who you have become within, and the world must rearrange itself to reflect this new identity. Living from the end also changes how you move through your day. You respond differently. You carry yourself differently. There is less desperation, less urgency, less fear. Why? Because the one who already has it does not beg for it. The one who already has it does not chase. They act from calm certainty. This inner calm is not passivity. It is confidence. It is the quiet knowing that what you have assumed is already secured. And from that state, inspired action naturally unfolds. You may feel guided to call someone, apply for something, or go somewhere, but it will not feel forced. It will feel like the next logical step for someone who already embodies the end. Time becomes irrelevant when you live from the end. You are not waiting for the future to bring fulfillment because you have accepted fulfillment now. And when the inner acceptance is complete, the outer confirmation is inevitable. The bridge of events will unfold in ways you could not have predicted. Conversations will align. Opportunities will arise. Doors will open, often when you least expect it. But your task remains the same. Remain faithful to the end. Do not measure progress by appearances. Do not look for signs. Signs follow, they do not precede. If you look to the outer world for reassurance, you step back into the state of not having. Instead, let your reassurance come from within. Let your conviction be self-generated. Living from the end is ultimately about identity. It is about asking, who am I if this desire is fulfilled? And then choosing to be that person now, not partially, not occasionally, but fully. When you live from the end, you stop being a seeker and become a possessor. You stop being a dreamer and become the embodiment of the dream. And the world, which can only reflect your inner state, has no choice but to comply. So choose the end, feel it real, make it natural, persist in it, and let the world catch up to who you have already decided to be. Everything you experience in this world has one origin: your consciousness, not chance, not fate, not other people, not circumstances. The true cause of your life is the state of awareness you consistently occupy. The outer world is not an independent force acting upon you. It is a mirror reflecting you. Most people believe life is happening to them. They believe events shape their feelings and circumstances determine their identity. But this is reversed thinking. It is not the event that creates the reaction. It is the state within that attracts and interprets the event. Two people can experience the same situation and react completely differently. Why? Because each one lives in a different state of consciousness. Your consciousness is the lens through which reality is filtered. If you are conscious of being unloved, you will notice rejection, indifference, and distance. If you are conscious of being respected, you will experience cooperation and recognition. The world does not decide this for you. It simply echoes what you assume to be true about yourself. Think of consciousness as a projector and the world as the screen. The images on the screen may look solid and real, but they are only the projection of what is within. Trying to change the screen without changing the film is useless. You may temporarily adjust appearances, but the underlying pattern will repeat until the inner state shifts. This is why effort alone often fails. You can work harder, push more, try different strategies. But if your consciousness remains rooted in doubt, fear, or limitation, the results will continue to reflect those states. Action does not override identity. Identity shapes action and outcome. To understand that consciousness is the only cause is to reclaim your power. It means realizing you are not a victim of circumstances. You are not subject to random events. You are the operant power, the one who selects the state that becomes your experience. But what is consciousness? It is not merely thoughts. It is your deep, accepted assumptions about who you are and how life works. It is the feeling of I am attached to a concept. I am successful. I am unlucky. I am always overlooked. I am supported. These are not casual statements. They are creative declarations. The world faithfully mirrors these inner declarations. If you repeatedly assume that opportunities pass you by, you will unconsciously notice and create situations that confirm that belief. If you assume that life works in your favor, you will begin to see proof of that assumption everywhere. The mirror does not argue, it reflects. This understanding changes how you approach challenges. Instead of fighting the problem externally, you ask, what state within me is being reflected here? If you encounter financial struggle, perhaps there is a deeper consciousness of lack. If you experience relationship conflict, perhaps there is a hidden assumption of unworthiness or fear of abandonment. The outer event is not the enemy. It is feedback. When you shift the inner state, the outer must follow. It may not happen instantly, but it is inevitable. Just as a mirror must reflect whatever stands before it, reality must express whatever state you occupy consistently. The key is persistence. You cannot declare a new assumption once and expect permanent change while internally returning to the old story. The old state must be replaced through repetition and feeling. You must consciously choose a new identity and dwell in it until it feels natural. For example, if you desire success, you must become conscious of being successful now, not when the evidence appears. Feel the confidence. Think from accomplishment. Make decisions from certainty. Speak internally as someone who expects favorable outcomes. Over time, this new consciousness solidifies, and the outer world reorganizes to reflect it. You are not manipulating the world. You are aligning with the law. The law is simple as within, so without. Change within, and without must change. This realization removes fear. If the world were separate from you, it would be unpredictable and uncontrollable. But if it is a mirror, then your focus shifts from controlling events to mastering your inner state. And that is something entirely within your authority. You do not need to force people to behave differently. Shift your consciousness of them, and their behavior will adjust. You do not need to chase opportunity. Become conscious of being valued, and opportunity will find you. You do not need to fight reality. You need only transform the state that is being reflected. Consciousness is the only cause. The world is the effect. Once you accept this, you stop reacting and start creating. You stop blaming and start assuming. You stop fearing and start choosing. And as you choose differently within, you will watch the mirror of life reflect a reality that matches your new awareness faithfully, precisely, and without exception. Thoughts alone do not create. Words alone do not create. Techniques alone do not create. It is feeling that gives life to every assumption. Feeling is the secret force that impresses the deeper mind and sets the unseen in motion. Without feeling, a thought is only a shadow. With feeling, it becomes a living reality in the making. Many people repeat affirmations mechanically. They visualize casually. They speak positively during the day. Yet internally they feel doubt, fear, or longing. Then they wonder why nothing changes. The answer is simple. The subconscious does not respond to empty words. It responds to feeling. Whatever you feel to be true, it accepts as true. Feeling is not emotional excitement. It is not intense enthusiasm. It is the quiet conviction that something is real. It is the natural sense of this is mine or this is done. When you feel the relief of completion, even before evidence appears, you have activated the creative power within you. Every experience you have ever had was preceded by a feeling. Think back to a moment of success or failure. Before it became visible, there was a state you were dwelling in. Confidence or insecurity, expectation or fear. That inner state shaped your perception, your reactions, and your actions. Eventually, it shaped your outcome. The world mirrors not what you want, but what you feel you deserve. If you feel worthy, you attract experiences that confirm worthiness. If you feel unworthy, you unknowingly accept less. The outer world cannot contradict the inner feeling you persist in. This is why living from the end requires more than imagination. It requires emotional embodiment. When you imagine your desire fulfilled, you must allow yourself to feel the satisfaction of it being complete. Feel the calm, feel the gratitude, feel the certainty. That feeling is the seed. The subconscious mind is like fertile soil. It does not question the seed you plant, it simply grows it. Feeling is the water that nourishes the seed. If you plant a desire but water it with doubt, fear, or impatience, the growth becomes distorted. But if you consistently water it with conviction and relief, it must grow into visible form. You do not need to force intense emotion. In fact, quiet naturalness is more powerful than dramatic excitement. When something truly belongs to you, you do not feel frantic about it. You feel settled. The creative feeling is the sense of normal possession. For example, if you desire financial freedom, do not strain to feel ecstatic about money. Instead, feel secure, feel stable, feel relaxed about expenses. That calm confidence impresses the subconscious more deeply than desperate excitement. The feeling of already having is what transforms imagination into fact. Persistence in feeling is crucial. A single moment of belief followed by hours of doubt weakens the impression, but repeated returns to the feeling of completion strengthen it. When doubt arises, do not fight it aggressively. Simply return to the chosen state. Return to the feeling that it is done. Nighttime is especially powerful for this. As you drift towards sleep, your conscious guard lowers and the subconscious becomes more receptive. If you fall asleep in the feeling of your wish fulfilled, you are impressing the creative center directly. Let the final mood of your day be fulfillment, not frustration. It is important to understand that feeling shapes perception. When you feel successful, you notice opportunities. When you feel loved, you notice kindness. When you feel capable, you take bold action. The feeling changes how you move in the world, and those movements lead to different outcomes. The outer change appears natural, but its origin was internal. The mistake many make is waiting for external proof before allowing themselves to feel good. They say, once it happens, then I'll feel relieved. But the law works in reverse. Feel relieved first. Feel grateful first. Feel accomplished first. Then the event follows. Feeling is the bridge between imagination and reality. It is the language of the subconscious. It is the silent command that instructs the outer world what to reflect. You do not manifest what you say. You do not manifest what you wish. You manifest what you feel to be true. So choose your feeling carefully. Choose the state of fulfillment. Dwell in it gently but consistently. Let it become natural, familiar, unquestioned. Because once a feeling is accepted as real within you, the world has no choice but to echo it without you. The true test of creation is not imagination. It is persistence. Anyone can feel inspired for a moment. Anyone can visualize once and feel empowered briefly. But the one who sees results is the one who remains faithful to the assumption when nothing on the outside seems to confirm it. Persistence in assumption means you do not abandon your inner decision just because the outer world has not yet adjusted. It means you understand that reality reflects states, and reflections often take time to reorganize. When you plant a seed in the soil, you do not dig it up the next morning to check if it has grown. You trust the unseen process. You water it, you protect it, you remain steady. The same principle applies to your assumptions. The moment you assume the wish fulfilled, the creative act is complete internally. But the outer world is still the echo of past assumptions. If you react to what you see and return to doubt, you reactivate the old state, and the old state continues to express itself. This is why many people feel stuck. They step into a new assumption briefly, then retreat at the first sign of delay. Persistence means refusing to retreat. It does not mean forcing belief aggressively. It means gently but firmly returning to the chosen state whenever the mind wanders. Doubt may arise. Fear may whisper. Circumstances may appear unchanged. But instead of fighting the world, you simply return inward and reaffirms. It is done. This is not denial. It is loyalty to the unseen cause rather than the visible effect. When you persist, something shifts within you. At first, the assumption may feel artificial. It may feel like pretending. But repetition transforms pretense into familiarity, and familiarity becomes identity. Once the new state feels natural, it no longer requires effort. It becomes who you are. The outer world must then catch up. Many abandon their assumption because they mistake delay for denial. But delay is not denial. It is simply the unfolding of events rearranging themselves. The bridge of incidents often appears ordinary. You may not recognize the connection between your assumption and what is happening, but persistence ensures that every step leads toward fulfillment. Consider how easily You persist in negative assumptions. If someone once disappointed you, you may carry the assumption that they will disappoint you again. Even if they act kindly, you may remain cautious. That is persistence, but in the wrong direction. Now imagine applying that same consistency to a positive assumption. Imagine remaining just as faithful to the belief that things are working in your favor. Persistence is emotional discipline. It is choosing the fulfilled state repeatedly until it feels like the only option. It is understanding that circumstances are temporary, but states are creative. There will be moments when reality seems to contradict your assumption. Bills may arrive, messages may not come, opportunities may appear closed. In those moments, your reaction determines everything. If you react with panic, you strengthen the old state. If you react with calm certainty, you remain aligned with the new one. Persistence does not mean ignoring responsibility. It means acting from the end rather than from fear. You continue living your life, making decisions, taking action, but your inner state remains anchored in fulfillment. The key is consistency over intensity. A calm, steady assumption repeated daily is far more powerful than occasional bursts of emotional excitement. Quiet faith moves mountains because it does not waver. Over time, something remarkable happens. The assumption that once required effort becomes effortless. The doubt that once felt strong loses its grip. You begin to expect success. You begin to expect alignment. And expectation shapes experience. When the manifestation finally appears, it often feels natural, almost inevitable. You may even forget how impossible it once seemed. That is the power of persistence. It transforms imagination into lived reality so smoothly that it feels ordinary. The world does not test you. It reflects your consistency. If you remain faithful to the end must arrive, not by chance, not by luck, but by law. So when nothing seems to change nothing within. Hold your assumption. Return to the feeling of completion. Stand firm in the unseen, because persistence in assumption is not stubbornness. It is mastery. And the one who masters their inner state inevitably masters their outer world. One of the greatest obstacles to fulfillment is the constant need to know how it will happen. The mind demands details. It wants timelines, steps, guarantees, and logical explanations. It asks, how will the money come? How will I meet the right person? How will this opportunity appear? And in asking these questions, it unknowingly steps out of the state of fulfillment and back into doubt. The how belongs to the realm of effects. It is the bridge between your assumption and its physical expression. But that bridge is not yours to design consciously. Your role is not to figure out the path. Your role is to assume the end. When you fully accept the end, the means are compelled to appear. Consider how many times in your life things happened in ways you could never have predicted. Unexpected conversations led to opportunities. Delays turned out to be blessings. Coincidences arranged themselves perfectly. If you had tried to map out those events in advance, you would have failed, yet they unfolded naturally. That is how reality operates when you allow it. When you focus on the how, you limit possibilities. The rational mind can only see based on past experiences. It imagines outcomes using familiar patterns. But creation is not limited to your past. The deeper intelligence within you has access to infinite combinations of events. It can arrange circumstances beyond your imagination. The need to control the process is rooted in fear. It is the belief that if you do not manage every detail, nothing will happen. But control is not creation. Assumption is creation. Once the end is assumed and felt as real, the subconscious begins orchestrating events in unseen ways. Ignoring the how does not mean passivity. It means trust. It means acting when inspired, but not forcing action from anxiety. There is a difference between inspired movement and desperate striving. Inspired action feels natural, calm, and almost obvious. Desperate action feels urgent, pressured, and fearful. When you truly assume the end, you will notice a shift. You will feel less worried about the path. You will not obsess over timelines. There will be a quiet confidence that everything necessary is aligning. That confidence is a sign that you have released the need to control. The mind may still try to interfere. It may suggest practical concerns. It may remind you of past failures. But instead of arguing with it, gently return to the end. Remind yourself that the outcome is secured. The bridge will form. It always does. Often the how unfolds in a series of ordinary events. You might feel drawn to visit a certain place. You might receive a random message. You might encounter an unexpected delay that redirects you. At first, these moments may seem unrelated, but later, you will see how perfectly they connected. If you insist on designing the path, you may block the very opportunities meant for you. You may reject a situation because it does not look like your imagined route. Yet that situation could be the exact stepping stone required. Trust requires surrender, not surrender of desire, but surrender of control over method. When you surrender the how, you create space for something greater than logic to operate. The seed does not decide how it will break through the soil. It simply contains the blueprint of its fulfillment. The soil, the sunlight, the rain, all arrange themselves according to a natural order. Likewise, once your assumption is planted, the necessary conditions gather around it. Patience becomes easier when you stop calculating. Instead of asking, when will it happen? You affirm, it is already done. Instead of wondering, what if it fails? You remain anchored in completion. The more you detach from the process, the more smoothly it unfolds. Ironically, when you release the need to know how, solutions often appear faster. The mind relaxes. Anxiety decreases. You become more receptive to opportunities you might have overlooked before. Clarity replaces confusion. Ignoring the how is an act of faith in the unseen order of life. It is understanding that your responsibility ends at assumption. The rest is handled by a deeper intelligence operating behind the scenes. When the fulfillment arrives, you may look back in amazement at how effortlessly it unfolded. You will see that every step, even the confusing ones, served a purpose. And you will realize that trying to control the path would have only complicated it. So assume the end. Feel it real. Then release the method. Let go of the need to map it out. Because once the end is accepted, the way reveals itself naturally, perfectly, and often beyond anything you could have planned. Remember this, the world is not testing you. It is reflecting you. If something appears delayed, it is only revealing hesitation within. If something appears blocked, it is only echoing doubt. The outer world has no creative power of its own. It is a mirror, precise, obedient, exact. So stop negotiating with circumstances. Stop asking when. Stop wondering how. Decide. Decide that it is finished. Decide that it is yours. Decide that the outcome you desire is already secured. And once you decide, do not look back. Do not return to the old state. Do not dig up the seed with fear. Walk differently. Feel differently. Because the one who assumes the end has already moved into a new identity. And the world has no choice but to catch up. One day, sooner than you think, what you once imagined will stand before you as fact. And you will realize it was never about effort. It was never about luck. It was always about assumption. Assume it's done, and let reality prove to you how obedient it truly is. Thank you for being here and for choosing to rise above appearances. If this message spoke to you, don't just listen. Apply it. Choose one desire today and assume it fulfilled. Live from that end. Persist in that knowing. If you found value in this message, share it with someone who needs to remember their power. And stay connected for more teachings that remind you who you truly are. Your reality is listening. Your assumptions are shaping. And your world is waiting to obey. Thank you.